Koreans may also abbreviate given names to make them easier for foreigners to remember or pronounce. For example, some people occasionally refer to President Kim Dae-jung as DJ Kim, or simply DJ, when speaking to foreigners. Some people, especially those who have lived in Western countries, adopt Western first names, which they place before their surnames, e.g., David Kim, Steve Cho, or Peter Jung. In this book, for the convenience of the listener, I consistently use the Western way to write Korean names, placing the given name first. For example, President Park Chung-hee becomes President Chung-hee Park, and President Kim Dae-jung becomes President Dae-jung Kim, or DJ Kim. There are exceptions, however. In cases where I quote from archived memos and letters, the original reference, which may follow Korean convention, remains intact. South Korea's currency is the won, which is sometimes presented as KRW, Korean won. During the period of this book, 1997 to 2004, the won's exchange rate against the US dollar fluctuated widely. In December 1996, the average won-dollar exchange rate was 842, meaning it took 842 won to buy $1 US. By February 1998, the won's value had dropped 48%. By December 1998, the won had regained some of its value, reaching 1,213 won per dollar. For the purposes of simplicity, I used the exchange rate at the particular moment in the story to approximate the dollar equivalent. All dollar amounts represent US dollars, unless otherwise indicated. Preface. Big Money Legends. It was a brisk autumn day in 1900, and Andrew Carnegie, 66 years old, was enjoying winning a game of golf against 39-year-old Charles M. Schwab, the president of Carnegie Steel Company. Carnegie was, at that point, one of America's most prominent businessmen. Carnegie Steel, the company he had founded, had revolutionized industrial steel production and had become the largest steel company in the world. Unbeknownst to Carnegie, Schwab had been working on a plan with John Pierpont Morgan, America's most powerful financier. Schwab's mission was to talk Carnegie into selling his company to Morgan. It was widely known that winning a game of golf always eased the Scottish-born industrialist temperament, and so Schwab played to lose. After the game, Schwab raised the idea with Carnegie, who seemed receptive. The next day, Carnegie handed Schwab a piece of paper scrawled with numbers adding up to $480 million, a colossal amount in 1900, approximately $14.5 billion in US dollars today. It was the price Carnegie was willing to accept for the sale of Carnegie Steel. Schwab took the paper to Morgan. Morgan glanced at the figures and said, simply, "I accept it." On a handshake, Morgan acquired Carnegie Steel for $480 million. Around the same time, Morgan consolidated several other steel companies to create U.S. Steel in March 1901. Capitalized at $1.4 billion, $42 billion in 2019 dollars, it was the first billion-dollar corporation in the world. Carnegie's cut from the sale of his steel company was about $225 million, $6.7 billion in 2019 dollars. The deal, as Morgan observed wryly while congratulating him, made Carnegie the richest man in the world. For generations, financiers, historians, and the general public have loved telling this tidy little story, amazed at how easy such big money games seem to be for the rich and powerful. Such games, the private buying and selling of companies and institutions, are now called private equity, and Morgan was probably the first notable private equity dealmaker in history, many decades before the practice became an industry and acquired its own name. But the real story is unlikely to be so simple. Where, for example, did Morgan get the money to finance the deal? The largest source, providing $225 million out of the $480 million required, came in the form of an IOU, a 50-year bond bearing a 5% interest rate.